Let's have a look at the start list. They are in the order of the results of the one race that we have had so far in the competition, won by Nicolas Goyard of France. Pavel Tarnowski and Gray Morris, two other names to keep an eye out for. Sam Sills of Great Britain. And the Netherlands, Op Zealand, one of the favourites for a medal, but was black flagged after an early start yesterday.
Yeah, Luke van Op Zealand will be really looking to jump out of the racing scoreboard today and work his way up that leaderboard after a really disappointing black flag for that opening series.
And there is confirmation of the black flag, which means that if any of those windsurfs are over the start line early, then they will be disqualified automatically. They'll continue to race because it all happens so quickly. The chances are they won't be aware that they were over early, but they will be notified at the first mark.
Running down to 3 minutes to the start now, so time for that start homework is starting to close. These sailors will be looking to put themselves in position over the next minute.
3 minutes to go to the start of this men's windsurf race. It's race number 2 of the opening series. Course looking good now. Conditions looking better than they have been earlier this morning. And there's two approaches to the start. The start that is so important on a race that is as short and explosive as the slalom course. And that is to either fight it out for the pin end, which tends to be the preferred end of the line. That was at the top of the screen as we were looking at it there. Or to stay out of trouble and just concentrate on hitting that start line as close to zero as possible and as fast as possible. And different athletes have different styles.
2 minutes now to start. And these guys will be starting on starboard tack, running through that start line in the direction of the arrows. So don't be fooled by the boats, all kind of on course side at the moment. They're just taking their last timed run, but also really sussing out how much pressure there is on that initial reach out of the start line. And with 1:30 to go, you'll see them starting to get themselves into position. They're looking for at least a 30-second time run into that start line. So we'll see them holding their position from about 1 minute to go and really like starting to pull that trigger, get up on the foil and start ripping towards that start line.
As you predicted, they're now moving back to where they want to be, behind the start line.
1 minute to start. We're reading 14 knots on the race course. Doesn't quite look like that from the screens, but that's what they're reading. So great wind for these guys to get underway. You can see them now popping themselves into position where they'll start their timed run into the start.
So they gather now at the sort of back of the box, as if you can imagine a box around that start line. They're gathering where they want to get into position. They know where they want to fire off from the start line. They're powering up now, and we are just seconds away from the start. Well, certainly no windsurfs over early, and a bizarre start there.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked like some of the sailors were either stuck in light conditions or a bit confused as to when that start was actually running.
They were heading back from the course side late, weren't they, as that 1 minute flag went up?
As if it was 2 minutes. But these two sailors were right on the mark, USA and Brazil, absolutely hitting the line at full speed, with the rest of the fleet following suit now. And I do just think that there was a little bit of confusion with the timing there.
Well, they're hitting 20, 21 knots now, and the USA out in front.
See that first bear away onto the downwind leg. And the first decision here will be where that jibe point is at that first reaching mark. These sailors choose to extend. It will be Argentina and Poland rounding equally, followed by Spain.
Well, if Noah Lyons of the USA plays this right, there's only one person who can catch him at the moment. That's the Brazilian. And Mateusz Isaac is already some distance from that leader as Greece and Slovakia come round that mark. And the American much faster than the Brazilian.
Lucky for us, we've got that ley line painted onto our screen. So that's the mark where the sailors will be at their best angle to get into that bottom mark before they finish that reaching slalom component of this racetrack.
There's the green mark they're heading for.
Critical moment here. These sailors will have to do a jibe as they round this bottom mark to head to that first slalom mark, and so perhaps a difficult maneuver here for the sailor from the USA. They've got Brazil stacked up just on the inside of them. We're looking for a good jibe here for the US sailor to finish their lead, and yes, he completes the jibe. Beautiful work, but Brazil has closed that lead down significantly.
And the gap between 2 and 3 has also come down. Paweł Tarnowski of Poland is having a good run here. Poland about a knot slower than the Brazilian. Round mark 3.
Another jibe for these sailors at that mark. Really important for these sailors to remain on the foil. If they do touch down on the water, they lose a significant amount of speed and time to get themselves back up on that foil. So really looking for removing any boat handling errors here as USA scream in towards the finish line here.
Noah Lyons of the USA flies towards the finish line to claim race 2 in the opening series of the men's windsurf. Hot on his heels, Mateusz Isaac of Brazil. Slightly further back, Paweł Tarnowski, and then it's Cruz Saubidet of Argentina. We've got Spain coming in next, just ahead of Sam Sills of Great Britain. Elia Colombo of Switzerland. Then it's Greece, the Netherlands with Luc van Opzeeland. Israel's Tom Ruvny. And that gives you really an understanding of how important that start is. It'll be interesting later on in the day to hear from the windsurfers about that start, to find out what exactly was going on in their heads. As you said, there seemed to be some confusion as to the start time, but no confusion in the mind of Noah Lyons of the USA. He was bang on the money at the start. This is Josh Armitt of New Zealand. Supports behind him. Lithuania. The man who came second in the first race, Nicolo Renna of Italy, is still making his way around the course.
Yeah, it just goes to show how important it is to be dialed into that start boat. It'll be really interesting to talk to these athletes in the mix zone to see what was going on, but I really do believe that it was a confusion with that start gate. They were kind of in the position at the start gun where you're likely to see them in that final minute to go. And even the confusion from the sailors in the lead as they're crossing the line, you know, wondering where the rest of the bulk of the fleet are. So, you know, quite an interesting start, but it just goes to show, you know, some of the drama that can unfold at an event as big as the Olympic Games. You hate to see the error, like simple errors like that, you know, making a big impact on the sailors' scorecards.
Let's get confirmation of the results. USA, Brazil, Poland, 1, 2, and 3. I'm almost more interested in the other end of these standings to see what happened at the back of the fleet. So Tomizawa's in 20th, and we've got 4 names that aren't on that list. Gray Morris and Johan So of Denmark, who didn't start.
Yeah, like